The envelope landed on the bar with a soft thud, right next to the glass I was wiping. At first, I thought it was just another drunk customer trying to pay their tab in an oddly formal way. But when I looked up, the man standing there wasn't one of our regulars. He wore an expensive suit that seemed out of place in our neighborhood dive bar, and his expression was too serious for someone seeking a drink at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. My name is Eliza, and until that moment, I thought I knew exactly who I was and what my life was about. Funny how one manila envelope can change everything. "Mrs. Whitaker," he said, his voice barely audible over the afternoon crowd's chatter. "This belongs to you." Before I could correct him, I rarely used my married name at work. He turned and walked out, leaving me staring at the envelope like it might bite. I've been bartending long enough to know when something feels off, and this definitely qualified. "Hey, Sophie," I called to my coworker. "Cover me for 5. In the cramped break room that smelled perpetually of old mop water and stale beer, I sat on an upturned milk crate and opened the envelope. The first photo showed my husband James outside an unfamiliar apartment building, his arm around a woman I'd never seen before. The second showed him entering what looked like an underground casino. The third, well, let's just say the third made my hands shake so badly I had to put everything down. My phone buzzed. A text from James. "Dinner at my parents' tonight. Don't forget. Mom's making that salmon you hate." I stared at his message, trying to reconcile the James who always remembered my food preferences with the James in these photos. The James who kissed me goodbye every morning, who brought me coffee in bed on Sundays, who talked about starting a family soon. Was he the same person who apparently owed hundreds of thousands of dollars to loan sharks? The documents behind the photos told a story I wasn't ready to read. Bank statements, IOUs, and what looked like threatening letters, all painting a picture of a man I thought I knew, but clearly didn't. "Eliza." Sophie's voice carried through the door. "Table 4 needs another round." "Coming." I shoved everything back into the envelope and stuffed it into my bag. My hands were steady now, but my mind was racing. I had choices to make, and quickly. The James the first knew would be home in 3 hours, expecting us to drive to his parents' house for another uncomfortable dinner where his mother Victoria would subtly critique everything from my career choice to my hair color. Back at the bar, I mechanically mixed drinks and made small talk, but my thoughts kept drifting to the envelope in my bag. A man at the end of the bar caught my eye, another suit, watching me too intently. When I looked again, he was gone, but a business card sat where he'd been. The card was blank except for a phone number and 2 words. "For help." My phone buzzed again. "James, got out of work early. Pick you up at the bar? We can head straight to Mom and Dad's." I typed and retyped my response several times before settling on. "Sounds good. See you soon." The weight of the envelope in my bag felt like it was pulling me down into some dark place I wasn't sure I wanted to explore. But as I watched the afternoon sun slant through the bar's grimy windows, I knew I couldn't go back to not knowing. The truth was out there now, like a bell that couldn't be unrung. James would be here in 20 minutes. I had until then to decide. Confront him now in public, where he couldn't lie his way out of it. Or play along, go to his parents' house, smile through Victoria's backhanded compliments, and use the time to figure out just how deep this rabbit hole went. I pulled out the business card and stared at that phone number, wondering if dialing it would make things better or infinitely worse. The Whitakers' dining room always felt like a stage set, with everyone playing their assigned roles. Tonight, the familiar scene felt surreal as I sat across from James, watching him casually discuss his day at work while the weight of that envelope pressed against my ribs from inside my jacket pocket. Victoria swept in from the kitchen, carrying her signature salmon dish like it was a crown jewel. "Eliza, dear, I hope you've developed a taste for proper fish since last time. Though I suppose working in that bar, you're more accustomed to fried things." I forced a smile, catching James's slight eye roll. Once, that shared moment of irritation at his mother's snobbery would have felt like us against the world. Now it just felt hollow. "The salmon looks lovely, Victoria," I lied. James squeezed my knee under the table, our old signal for play nice. His hand felt foreign now, and I had to resist the urge to brush it away. Harold joined us, laptop in hand despite Victoria's no devices at dinner rule. James' son, Ryan Blake, called my office today. Something about a business proposition. I felt James tense beside me. "Just a small investment opportunity, Dad. Nothing concrete yet." "The same Ryan Blake who lost his real estate license last year?" Victoria's perfectly shaped eyebrows arched. "Really, James, you need to be more selective about your associations. Especially with your father's campaign coming up." The campaign? Everything in the Whitaker household revolved around Harold's bid for state senate lately. I wondered if they knew how their precious family image would fare if those photos got out. Speaking of associations, Victoria continued, cutting her salmon with surgical precision, I ran into Charlotte Morrison at the club today. Her daughter just made partner at Henderson and Ross. Wasn't that where you interviewed before? Choosing your current path, Eliza? Before I could respond, James's phone buzzed. He checked it under the table, his face flickering with something I wouldn't have noticed 2 hours ago. Fear? Guilt? Excuse me, he said, standing abruptly. Work call. Harold frowned. At this hour? Markets never sleep, Dad. James kissed my cheek before leaving. Another performance for his parents' benefit. Through the dining room's French doors, I could see him pacing on the terrace, gesturing animatedly. A text lit up my own phone, Mia asking if I was okay. I'd sent her a photo of one of the documents earlier, needing someone else to confirm I wasn't losing my mind. Eliza, Harold's voice pulled me back. How are things at the bar? Still finding it fulfilling. The way he said fulfilling made it sound like a terminal illness. I opened my mouth to deliver my usual defensive response about honest work, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the envelope burning a hole in my pocket, or maybe I was just tired of the script. Actually, Harold, I've been thinking about making some changes. I watched his expression shift from condescension to interest. Big changes. Victoria set down her fork. Oh, finally considering a more suitable career. Before I could elaborate, James returned, his face flushed despite the cool evening air. Sorry about that. What did I miss? Your wife was just about to share some news about her career plans, Harold said, studying me with new intensity. I met James's questioning look with a bland smile. Just thinking out loud. Nothing concrete yet. The rest of dinner passed in a blur of pointed comments and practiced responses. As we drove home, James kept glancing at me. You're quiet tonight, he said finally. Long day. I watched his hands on the steering wheel, remembering the photos of those same hands holding another woman. Hey, how's Ryan doing these days? Haven't seen him around lately. James's knuckles whitened slightly. Good, I think. Why? No reason. Just curious about that investment opportunity your dad mentioned. He changed lanes abruptly, cutting off another driver. It's nothing exciting. Just some boring real estate stuff. I nodded, noting how he didn't actually answer the question. In my pocket, my phone buzzed again, probably Mia, waiting to hear if I'd confronted him yet. But I was starting to realize that this game required patience. And maybe, just maybe, I could learn to play it better than the Whitakers. Following the key James had accidentally left in his other pants was like following a trail of breadcrumbs to my own destruction. The storage facility sat on the outskirts of town, the kind of place people store things they want to forget. Or hide. You sure about this? Mia asked, her breath visible in the cold morning air. She'd called in sick to her teaching job to come with me, proving once again why she was my best friend. No, I admitted, fitting the key into the lock. But I need to know. The metal door groaned open, revealing stacks of designer boxes and what looked like casino equipment. A professional roulette wheel caught the beam of my flashlight, along with high-end poker tables folded against the wall. Holy shit, Mia whispered, picking up a Rolex box. This is worth more than my car. I was about to respond when voices echoed from around the corner. We killed the flashlight and ducked behind a stack of boxes, my heart hammering so loud I was sure it would give us away. Can't keep stalling them, James. Ryan's voice. These aren't the kind of people who accept excuses. I know. James sounded desperate in a way I'd never heard before. But if my father finds out before the campaign launch, your father's campaign will be the least of your problems if you don't pay up. And what about Rebecca? Keep your voice down, James hissed. No one can know about her. Especially not Eliza. My fingers dug into Mia's arm. Rebecca. The woman from the photos had a name now. Yeah, well, Rebecca's getting impatient too. Says she's tired of being your dirty little secret. I'll handle it. I just need time to move some things around, maybe sell some of this stuff. Their voices faded as they walked away. I waited until their footsteps disappeared completely before letting out the breath I'd been holding. Eliza. Mia started. Don't. I stood up, my legs shaky. Just. Help me look around. We found more than I was ready for. Credit card statements showing massive cash advances. Loan documents with interest rates that made my stomach turn. A shoebox full of letters from someone named Rebecca, each one more intimate than the last. But it was the document at the bottom of a filing cabinet that made my blood run cold. Papers for a second mortgage on our house, with what looked like my forged signature. I'm calling the police, Mia declared, pulling out her phone. Wait. I grabbed her wrist. We need to be smart about this. The Whitakers have half the police force in their pocket. Then what's your plan? Because this isn't just about affairs anymore, Eliza. This is fraud. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Victoria. Brunch tomorrow at the club. Non-negotiable. Harold has news about James's promotion. I stared at the message, something clicking into place. The promotion James had been hinting at, the one that would finally prove himself to his father. The one that would give him access to the company's accounts. We need to document everything, I said, starting to take photos. But we can't let them know we know. Not yet. Why not? Because tomorrow at brunch, Harold's going to announce James's promotion to CFO of the family company. And I need to understand exactly what they're planning before I blow it all up. Mia helped me carefully return everything to its exact position. As we locked up, she touched my arm. You're scary when you're plotting revenge, you know that? I thought about James and Rebecca, about Victoria's constant condescension, about Harold's political ambitions built on his perfect family image, about my forged signature on that mortgage. They have no idea what scary is, I said, pocketing the key. But they're about to find out. On the drive home, I got another text from that mysterious number on the business card. Ready to talk now? I thought about James's desperate voice in the storage unit, about Rebecca's letters, about all the lies wrapped in designer boxes and tied with perfect bows. The Whitakers had taught me well how to keep up appearances. Now it was time to use those lessons against them. I typed back one word. Yes. The mysterious number belonged to a private investigator named Diana Chin. We met at a coffee shop 2 towns over, where she laid out everything she'd uncovered about James's double life in a neat manila folder, much thicker than the one I'd received at the bar. Your husband's been busy, Diana said, sliding surveillance photos across the table. Rebecca Mitchell, 26, works at the casino where he's dropped nearly $500,000 in the past year. I sipped my now cold coffee, studying the woman who'd been sharing my husband's bed. She was beautiful in an obvious way, like a warning sign you couldn't miss. The casino connection explains the equipment in the storage unit. That's not even the interesting part. Diana pulled out more documents. The casino's owned by a shell company. Guess who's the majority shareholder? Harold. I said, the pieces clicking into place. Bingo. Your father-in-law's been using it to launder money for years. James's gambling debts? They're real, but they're also cover for something bigger. My phone buzzed, James asking where I was. I ignored it. Why are you showing me all this? I asked. Who hired you? Diana's smile was sharp. Let's just say Harold Whitaker's political ambitions have made him some powerful enemies. People who'd love to see his campaign derailed before it begins. I was about to press for more details when I spotted Ryan Blake through the coffee shop window, walking past. I ducked instinctively, but he'd already seen me. The bell above the door chimed. Eliza? Funny running into you here. Diana smoothly gathered the photos while I forced a smile. Ryan, just getting coffee with a friend. His eyes flickered between us, lingering on Diana's briefcase. James mentioned you've been acting strange lately. Said you're not sleeping well. Work stress, I lied. You know how it is. Sure. He checked his phone. Hey, speaking of James, we're meeting for drinks later at Murphy's. You should join us. Can't. Covering someone's shift. The lie came easily now. After Ryan left, Diana leaned forward. He'll tell James about seeing you here. I know. I stood up, decision made. Which means I need to confront James tonight, before he spins this into something else. That's not wise, Diana warned. We need more time to. No. I'm done waiting. I grabbed my coat. But I might need your help later. At home, I found James in his study, phone pressed to his ear. He ended the call when he saw me. Hey babe. Rough day. He tried to kiss me, but I stepped back. Who's Rebecca Mitchell? The change in his expression was subtle, a tightening around the eyes, a slight clench of his jaw. Who? Don't. My voice cracked. Just. Don't lie to me. Not anymore. He sank into his chair, running his hands through his hair, his tell when he's calculating his next move. It's not what you think. Really? Because I think you're sleeping with a casino employee while gambling away our future and committing fraud with your father's help. His head snapped up. What did you say? The storage unit, James. The forged mortgage documents. The shell company. I know everything. He stood slowly, something dangerous flickering in his eyes. Who have you been talking to? Does it matter? It matters if you're threatening my father's campaign. He moved closer, his charm replaced by something colder. Do you have any idea what you're getting involved in? Are you threatening me? I'm trying to protect you. He grabbed my arm. Whatever you think you know. I yanked away. Don't touch me. Eliza, please. His voice softened, but his eyes stayed hard. We can fix this. I'll explain everything. Like you explained the mortgage? Or the gambling debts? Or Rebecca? If you just let me. I want a divorce. The words hung between us like a loaded gun. James laughed, but it wasn't the warm sound I'd fallen in love with years ago. No, he said simply. You don't. Excuse me. Think carefully about your next move, Eliza. He straightened his tie, mask firmly back in place. You're not the only one who can gather evidence. As I watched him walk away, I realized Diana was right. I should have waited. But now the game had changed, and I needed to figure out what James meant by that last threat before he made his next move. The Whitakers' annual charity gala was in full swing when I spotted Rebecca Mitchell working the high-stakes poker table. She dealt cards with practiced grace, her eyes occasionally drifting to where James stood with his father, charming potential campaign donors. "Everything's ready," Diana murmured, appearing beside me in her catering uniform. "Just say the word." I smoothed down my borrowed designer dress, another prop in this elaborate performance. "Not yet. Harold's watching." Indeed, my father-in-law hadn't taken his eyes off me since I'd arrived. He'd cornered me earlier, his campaign smile firmly in place. "I trust you've reconsidered your emotional response to certain situations," he'd said. "Family unity is crucial right now." The implied threat wasn't subtle. Victoria floated through the crowd, orchestrating her perfect evening. She paused at my elbow. "Darling, you simply must meet Senator Collins. He's fascinated by your unique perspective on working-class issues." Before I could respond, a commotion erupted at Rebecca's table. A drunk player was accusing her of cheating, his voice carrying across the ballroom. James moved to intervene but caught himself. He couldn't acknowledge knowing her. I watched Rebecca's face flash with hurt before hardening into something else. She reached under the table. "Now," I said to Diana. The fire alarm shrieked to life. As water rained from the sprinklers, chaos erupted. Designer dresses and expensive suits scattered like startled birds. Through the confusion, I saw Rebecca slip something into her pocket and disappear through a service door. "Eliza!" James grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the exit. "We need to. Get your hands off my wife." The drunk player was back, swaying but determined. "Yeah, I know all about you too." James's grip tightened painfully. "Sir, you're confused." "Am I?" "Tell that to my investment portfolio." "Tell that to." Harold appeared, security guards in tow. "Remove this man. Now." But the damage was done. Whispers rippled through the crowd. I caught fragments. Gambling. Affair. Campaign funds. Victoria's face was ashen. "Harold, do something." In the chaos, I slipped away, following Rebecca's path. I found her in the empty kitchen, calmly counting what looked like casino chips. "He'll never choose you," I said. She didn't look surprised to see me. "I don't need him to. I've got what I came for." She held up a USB drive. "Insurance policy. Want a copy?" Before I could answer, James burst in. He froze, looking between us. "Rebecca." "Save it," she cut him off. "I quit, by the way. But don't worry, I'm keeping my benefits." She patted her pocket meaningfully. James lunged for her, mask finally cracking. I stepped between them. "Touch her," I said quietly, "and everything I know goes public tonight." "You don't understand what you're doing," he hissed. "Dad's enemies are the least of your problems." Harold's voice boomed from the doorway. He looked at Rebecca. "Whatever she's paying you, I'll double it." Rebecca laughed. "Bold of you to assume she's the one who hired me." The implications hung heavy in the air. Harold's campaign smile slipped just slightly. "James," he said, "handle your wife." "Now." "Like he handled the mortgage fraud?" I asked sweetly. "Or the money laundering?" Harold's mask cracked completely. "You stupid girl. You think this is about affairs and gambling? You have no idea what you're playing with." "Actually," Diana said, stepping out of the shadows with her phone recording, "I think she does." The kitchen door burst open again, Victoria, followed by several serious-looking men who definitely weren't security guards. "Harold," she said, voice shaking, "the SEC is here." I watched the mighty Whitakers freeze like deer in headlights. James reached for me one last time. "Eliza, please. Whatever you think you know." "I know enough." I stepped back, letting Diana's phone capture everything. And now, so does everyone else. As federal agents filled the kitchen, I caught Victoria's eye. For a moment, something passed between us, understanding maybe, or recognition. Then she turned away, already crafting tomorrow's damage control story. I walked out of the kitchen, out of the venue, and into the rain-soaked night. Behind me, the Whitaker empire began to crumble. But I wasn't done yet. Not even close. The morning after the gala, I woke up to find my bank accounts frozen and an eviction notice on my apartment door. The Whitakers worked fast. I had to give them that. My phone rang. "Diana, don't go home. They're waiting for you." Too late. Through my window, I spotted two men in dark suits watching my building. Not SEC agents this time. These ones had a different energy. More dangerous. "What's happening?" I asked Diana. "Harold's connections run deeper than we thought. These aren't just white-collar crimes we're dealing with." My other line beeped, Mia. "I just got fired." she said when I switched over. They're saying I helped steal confidential documents. Eliza, what's going on? My stomach dropped. They were going after everyone I cared about. I grabbed my emergency bag packed days ago, thank God, and slipped out the fire escape. As I hit the alley, a familiar voice stopped me. Going somewhere? Ryan stepped out of the shadows, looking nothing like James's party boyfriend now. The Whitakers want to talk. Funny way of showing it. You have no idea what you've stepped into. He moved closer. That USB drive Rebecca took? It's got account numbers. Names. Things that could get people killed. People like me? People like your friend Mia. Her sister in rehab. Her mother in the nursing home. He shrugged. Accidents happen. My hands shook as I typed out a text to Diana. They're threatening Mia's family. Let me help you, Ryan said softly. There's still a way out. Why would you help me? Because I'm tired of cleaning up James's messes. Because Harold's empire is built on bodies. Because... He stopped as headlights swept the alley. A black SUV pulled up. James stepped out looking haunted. Eliza, please. Just get in the car. So your father can make me disappear? So I can protect you. He ran his hands through his hair. That familiar tell, but now it seemed pathetic. Everything I did, all of it, was to protect you. The affair with Rebecca? The forged mortgage? You don't understand. Dad's partners. They own people. They own me. I thought if I played along, kept them happy, I could keep you safe. By drowning in gambling debts? By sleeping with their plant? Rebecca works for them, not us. She. James stopped, realizing he'd said too much. My phone buzzed. Diana. Don't trust Ryan. He's playing both sides. I looked at Ryan, who watched our exchange too carefully. At James, who'd sold his soul piece by piece to men who collected them like trading cards. The SEC raid, I said slowly. That was staged, wasn't it? To flush out whoever was really investigating. James's silence was answer enough. More headlights. Another SUV. Harold stepped out, Victoria behind him. Enough games, Harold said. The drive, Eliza. Now. I don't have it. Then call Rebecca. Make the trade. Trade for what? Your friend Mia's safety. Your freedom. Pick one. Victoria touched Harold's arm. Dear, perhaps. Quiet. He snapped. This ends tonight. My phone buzzed one last time. Diana. In position. Your call. I looked at my husband, this stranger I'd loved. At Ryan, playing every angle. At Harold and Victoria, their perfect facade cracking under pressure. You're right, I said. It does end tonight. I pressed send on a pre-written message. Somewhere across town, Diana would be releasing everything. Not just to the SEC, but to every news outlet, every law enforcement agency. Every rival of Harold's who'd been waiting for him to fall. What did you do? James whispered. Sirens wailed in the distance. Real ones this time. I chose option 3, I said, as red and blue lights began to flash at both ends of the alley. I chose the truth. Harold's face contorted with rage. He reached into his jacket, but Ryan was faster, drawing a gun. Federal agent, he said, his badge appearing in his other hand. Everyone on the ground. Now. As the alley erupted in chaos, I realized this wasn't the end at all. It was just the beginning of a much bigger war. The safe house felt anything but safe. I sat across from Harold Whitaker in a sparse federal protection room, watching him try to negotiate his way out of hell one last time. You're smarter than this, Eliza, he said, sliding a document across the table. Sign it. Walk away with enough money to start fresh. Everyone wins. Ryan stood in the corner, his federal badge glinting under fluorescent lights. Diana sat beside me, reviewing the contract's language. It's a trap, she murmured. The clause about prior knowledge, it makes you complicit in everything they did before you came forward. Of course it does, I said loud enough for Harold to hear. Because this isn't about money. It's about finding a scapegoat. Harold's campaign smile flickered. You're overlooking the bigger picture. James is cooperating with federal investigators, Ryan cut in. He's trading everything he knows about your operation for a reduced sentence. The news hit Harold like a physical blow. His mask slipped completely, revealing something ugly underneath. My own son wouldn't dare. The door opened. Victoria swept in, looking perfectly composed despite everything. He already has Harold. It's over. I watched them carefully, remembering every subtle dig, every backhanded compliment, every moment they'd made me feel small. But Victoria's next words shocked me. Sign it, Eliza, she said softly. Not for Harold. For me. Victoria, Harold warned. No. She straightened, something fierce in her eyes. I won't let you destroy another young woman to save yourself. The room went still. Harold's face darkened. What did you do? I gave Diana the original documents. From 20 years ago. About Sarah. The name meant nothing to me, but Harold went pale. You swore. I swore to protect our family, Victoria snapped. I watched you drive Sarah to suicide to protect your first campaign. I won't watch you do it again. My phone buzzed. A message from Rebecca. USB drive uploaded. Check the news. Harold's phone chimed next. Then Ryan's. Then Diana's. A cascade of notifications as 20 years of buried secrets surfaced. You could have had a clean exit, Harold said, his voice deadly quiet. Now you'll lose everything. No, I replied, standing. You will. The door burst open again. James stumbled in, looking haunted. Dad, they're here. All of them. Press, FBI, everyone. Harold lunged for the contract, but Ryan was faster. That's federal evidence now. Evidence of what? I asked Victoria. Of how many lives he's destroyed, she said. Sarah was like you. Married to a Whitaker man, discovered the truth, threatened to expose it. Harold arranged for her death to look like suicide. I helped cover it up. She met my eyes. I won't do it again. James moved toward me. Eliza, Save it. I cut him off. You're not the victim here. But I am trying to make it right, he said. Everything I told them about Dad's partners, the laundering, all of it, it's true. Harold's composure finally shattered. He reached into his jacket, but this time Victoria was faster. She grabbed his arm, the gun clattering to the floor. Enough, she said firmly. It's done. As federal agents flooded the room, I watched the mighty Harold Whitaker collapse into a chair, defeated not by his enemies, but by his own family. Victoria touched my arm as she passed. I should have done this 20 years ago. For Sarah. For all of us. Why now? I asked. She smiled sadly. Because you reminded me of who I used to be. Before I let fear make me complicit. As they led Harold away, James tried one last time. I did love you, you know. I thought about the scared bartender I'd been just weeks ago. Desperate for approval from a family built on lies. I know, I said. But love isn't enough when it's wrapped in betrayal. Through the window, camera flashes lit up the night like lightning. The Whitaker Empire was falling, and I was finally free of its ruins. But something in Victoria's eyes told me there were more storms ahead. 6 months after the Whitaker Empire crumbled, I found myself back behind a bar. But this time it was my own. The insurance money from Sarah's case had helped me buy the place. A small irony I appreciated every time I opened the doors. Mia sat at the counter, grading papers from her new teaching job across town. Have you seen the news? James took the plea deal. I nodded, polishing glasses more carefully than necessary. 5 years for his role in Harold's schemes. His testimony had helped bring down bigger players, including some of Harold's mysterious partners. The press called it justice. I wasn't sure what to call it anymore. The door chimed. Diana walked in, looking more relaxed in civilian clothes. She'd left the agency after everything, started her own security consulting firm. Speaking of news, she said, sliding a thick envelope across the bar. Victoria's letter arrived at the safe address. My hands didn't shake as I opened it. They hadn't shaken in months. Inside was a deed to a small beach house, along with a handwritten note. Sarah would have wanted you to have this. It's where she was happiest, before Harold destroyed her. Before I helped him do it. Make better memories there than we did. There's more, Diana said quietly. A photograph fell out. A younger Victoria stood on that same beach, arm around a woman who could have been my sister. Same wild hair, same defiant smile. Sarah, turn it over, Mia whispered. On the back in faded ink. Sarah and Victoria, sisters, summer before the wedding. The pieces clicked into place. Victoria hadn't just covered up Sarah's death. She'd helped destroy her own sister to protect Harold's ambitions. No wonder she'd seen herself in me. My phone buzzed. A text from Ryan. Harold's partners are making moves. Watch your back. You need to be careful, Diana warned. The story isn't over just because Harold's in prison. It's never really over, is it? I poured 3 drinks. But I'm not that scared bartender anymore. The door chimed again. Rebecca walked in, turning heads like always. But now she wore a federal marshal's badge under her leather jacket. Got room for one more? She asked, taking the empty seat beside Diana. Witness protection gets lonely. I poured a 4th glass. We sat in comfortable silence, for women whose lives had been tangled and transformed by the Whitakers' web of lies. To Sarah, Victoria's voice came from the doorway. She looked older, softer somehow, without her society armor. And to Truth, however late it comes. I studied her face, my almost aunt, in another life. She'd lost everything. Her husband to prison, her son to his choices, her position in society. But something in her eyes looked lighter. Join us, I asked. She sat, accepting the drink I poured. I'm selling the mansion, she said. Using the money to start a foundation for women trapped in abusive relationships, financial abuse, emotional manipulation, all of it. Sarah's legacy? Mia suggested. Victoria's eyes welled up. Yes, exactly that. My phone buzzed again. Another warning from Ryan about Harold's old associates. Another reminder that some stories don't end cleanly. But looking around at these women, each broken and rebuilt by the same storm, I realized maybe that was the point. We weren't just survivors of the Whitakers' destruction. We were the ones who would make sure it never happened again. To Sarah's legacy, I raised my glass. And to the stories we choose to write next. As we drank, I caught Victoria's eye. There was something there, regret, hope, determination. A promise maybe to do better this time. To be better. Outside, the sun set over my small piece of rebuilt life. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new threats from Harold's old world. But tonight, in this moment, surrounded by unlikely allies and hard-won wisdom, I was exactly where I needed to be. The Whitakers had taught me how to survive their world. Now it was time to learn how to truly live in my own.